So I wanted to share some real thoughts with you guys, and the real thoughts are I've been feeling very disconnected from God and from Spirit recently. And I think it's just because coming from the New Age movement or Hinduism types of beliefs, it's just really conflicting. And the confliction lies in they're very similar. They're very, very, very similar. The only huge difference is that Hinduism and, well, Christianity doesn't believe that God is in all things because that's pantheism. And also that you're not God. I definitely don't believe that. But the similarities are that you're supposed to love your neighbor, you're supposed to have joy in the Lord, you're supposed to be forgiving, you're supposed to let go and let God. Um, I mean, it's really just similar. And I think this is why so many people get lost. They want this, like, they don't want a religion, but they do because this, like, Hinduism type thing is the new age that everybody's pushing, and the thoughts that they push in yoga or the secret or whatever, but yet it's Christianity that Jesus preached, except for what? Except for one thing, really, is pantheism, that God's in all things. Now, that makes it where God is not a creator. Um, he's which is kind of weird because he is omnipresent, though. He's present everywhere. He's present everywhere, but he's not in all things because he created all things, if that makes sense. Does it make sense? It's pretty weird. I mean, I love Christianity because it preaches really great things, but it's really the same things that we're all preaching, except we're leaving out one person. We're leaving out Jesus. But it's claimed that Jesus died and rose again. But then Hinduism also says that we die and we're recycled into life again. See how similar it is? It's just really interesting. Um, maybe I think the biggest difference is the sinful nature, and we all have it, and we all have free will, and we all get to choose. We all get to choose good or bad. And Jesus obviously preaches to be good, obviously preaches to be sinless, um, you know, preaches to forgive and forget and praise the Lord, and not to covet your neighbor, not to murder, to be respectful to your neighbor. I mean, these are all good things. I'm not necessarily sure what Hinduism preaches, except for um, to more like a vegetarian lifestyle because they believe the cow is sacred, and which I believe animals are sacred. I believe all life is sacred because it's all God's creation. It's just so similar. It's so similar. So when people get lost in these religions, or I just think people want to be close to God, and find joy in God and do good things. Like, that's really what people want. When it comes down to it, that's what people want. Majority of people want to be good. Now, obviously, there's evil people, and I believe in demonic spirits. And I believe, honestly, that Jesus is the only name that's going to get you out of those demonic spirits. I do believe that. Soul-heartedly, I believe that because I've been there. And it's just interesting. It really is. I'd like to hear everybody's comments on it. Um, this is definitely a debatable topic. I personally choose Christianity. Why do I choose that? Because I believe Jesus is the only only person that can save. I believe that he is God in a human form that came here to preach this message and die and show that he would be risen again. And people saw him alive after he was killed. There's proof out there. You can look at it. Some of you aren't going to believe it. Now, one thing that people bring up that I do want to address is like, how can God do these things to these people here, like starving children, for instance, or children being born to abusive parents, or just the really rough things in life. And a couple things I want to ask you. For one, why would any God do that? So any God that you're believing in, why would he let that happen? But the real question is, why do you let that happen? Why are you a coward? If you're not making an impact in this world, if you're not doing something to help another person in this world, then you're part of that problem. If a kid's born to an abusive parent, do you just look at that parent and, like, in the store that's beating this kid, and I'm sure that doesn't happen because I'm sure they don't do it in public, but I'm just using an example. If you see abuse, why don't you say something to that parent? Why do you just stand by? And to the starving children, like, if you really look at it, the governments are usually taking from these people, or the people don't care enough to get themselves out of the situation. Why aren't you doing something about it? I know people that are going over to other countries to build schools. Don't complain if you're not doing anything about it. So, I saw a really awesome quote the other day from a person, and it said, I used to scream at God for the starving children, but then I realized the children were God screaming at us. And basically, that means, why are you screaming at God? Because these children are starving down here. Why aren't you doing anything about it? Why aren't you doing anything about it? That's the real question. So don't blame God. We should all be making an impact. If you don't like that there's chemtrails out here, if you don't like that there's food deserts out here, what are you doing about it? Are you still buying from the grocery store all the time? Or are you buying from local farmers so we don't have food deserts? So we don't have chemicals on our food? Are you growing your own garden? You say you don't have time, maybe? But you do have time. Because it only takes 10 minutes to till up a little part of your landscaping bed and sprinkle seeds of lettuce down. And there's so much lettuce that comes from those little seeds. You could share it. We barely planted anything this year, and I have more than enough. So these are just things to think about. And I know I started off with preaching about God, and I we're all preaching the same things. It's just a different way that we're looking at it. And like I said, the only difference is you're forgetting about Jesus. I don't know. It's controversial, I guess. Thanks for listening, guys.